Hello and welcome. I am Scarperlock and this is City of Heroes on the Rebirth server with our level 21 Stalker, Shrike, who has 169,000 experience, 21,000 to go to get to level 22, when we will be buying a full set of dual origin enhancers because we now have 2.2 million influence thanks to selling something for almost 2 mil. And we are in really good shape. And we have a bunch of contacts to do. I did come over here. They did actually make me go through the how to do inventions thing again. And actually, I invented another level 15 accuracy enhancer. We may as well put it on focus for now. We're going to take it off at level 22, but it doesn't hurt anything to have it up there. We certainly don't need to sell it for cash. And now we got to figure out what contact we're going to talk to. And I think we're probably going to start with Montague Castellanella because he's going to lead us into, I believe he's going to lead us into the Midnight Squad. And we're going to want to do their level 20 to 29 story arcs. They have some good ones. So we're going to do that. Yep, so this is the Midnight Squad. So he says we're called the Midnight Squad and we've been around for a long time. However, since the Richte invasion, our numbers have greatly depleted. It's my hope to change that. So he's going to invite us eventually into the Midnight Squad. But first, Percy Winkley is missing again. Yeah, Percy, you'll find out as you go through the next 20 or 30 levels of this game. Percy gets lost a lot. So he's a member of the Midnighter Club, and he needs rescuing. He's been kidnapped by the Circle of Thorns. So now, guys, we're going to start seeing some of the normal mobs. We'll see how we perform against the regular mobs now that we are no longer in Pretoria. We're no longer fighting the Praetorian guys. We're going to be fighting, presumably, spawns of 3. And my guess is they're going to be back to the kind of normal way to do things. Now, the Circle of Thorns is actually rather tough. On my Reflex Scrapper, they were constantly kicking my butt. And one of the problems is they have smashing resistance, but I don't know if they have lethal resistance. This is the ghosts. So we're going to see what happens. They are one of the reasons why I delayed buffing my the mission difficulty up when I was a scrapper until like 24th or 25th level, and even in the upper 20s, a couple times I lowered it back down to +0 when I knew I was dealing with Circle. I don't like doing that. I don't like sort of gaming the system. I like setting it to a particular level and staying there. But with the Circle of Thorns, it's just they're just so brutal, and it's more not so much a question of dying, but just a question of how long it takes to do a mission when you are having to deal with all of the resistance and the debuffing that they do. So we're just going to have to see how we perform against these guys. Now, one of the advantages we're going to have is we've got Hide, right? And we can come up to these guys that are the nasties and build up, Assassin Strike, and it's just going to take them out. Now, when we don't have build-up going, I'm going to do a check, and we will see just exactly how much resistance to lethal these guys have. I believe they had about a 25% or even a 40% resistance to smashing. So these guys are fighting. Who the heck? Oh, the Lost are fighting the Circle. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So now with the Lost, you notice we get these mutates, and that's in part because the Lost don't normally appear above level 20. And so their normal, the normal mob names like Headman, Buckshots, and stuff, you don't see them a lot of times in the 20s because the Lost are just not normally found at this level. They're a low-level enemy type. What do you call a low-level faction? Rescue a Midnighter. Now, we're going to probably have to pull Percy out of here, so we may as well just beat these guys up. Look at that. One shot. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Alright, so those are Spectral Knights. Yeah, so one huge advantage we're going to have with this is the ability to do full damage and take them out. So this is 107 and 192 if hidden. right? So it does 100 normally at 192 if hidden. 107, 192. So we did 64, 116, so these guys have quite a bit of lethal resistance. Let's take a look at how much they're taking from that. 19 damage from Strike, and Strike does 31, so we're looking at a good 40% damage resistance to lethal as well. So we're going to have the same problem, actually a worse problem than with Super Reflex, in the sense that when these guys hit you, they debuff you, and they make it harder for you to hit, which just, basically they floor you, and then you can't. And flooring means basically dropping you to the lowest possible chance to hit. And when they do that, this guy's going to be impossible to fight because they're running all over the place. When they floor you like that, then you're just going to keep whiffing. Can we assassinate this guy? Alright, we got him. So that's what makes it so hard, is that you then, like, they're pounding on you because you're constantly missing. But with a Super Reflex Scrapper, there is the fact that they're probably going to miss you more. They're probably going to miss you more often than with, say, this character, right? But this character has heals, so I don't know who's going to do better. We'll have to see. Is there anybody over here? No, but there's a bunch of tunnels, and I don't know which way we need to go. Okay, obviously not that way. Okay, here's somebody. Who's shooting? Oh, from up top? Well, I don't think we need to go up top, do we? Unless Percy's up there. Let's go up. And there's a further up. This is down below, so how are we going to get up there without something like flight? Ah, here we go. And there's another, oh, that might be Percy over there, yep. Good thing I came up here. Assassinate? Oh, I guess not. We missed. That's not good. So now what you'll see here is minus accuracy, right? So it makes it much harder to hit. And then you have to stand in there for a really long time taking punishment while you're trying miss, right? Okay, we got Percy. We do not have to lead him out. Mission completed. We got a clue. And the clue says that while Percy was held hostage, he managed to steal an old scroll that the Circle were using. It contains an incantation that appears to directly affect technology. It speaks of taking the power of science and crafting it to the ways of magic. Before Percy left, he told you that the scroll wouldn't actually do what they wanted it to do. They tried the spell, but all it did was turn one of the Circle's books of magic into a cell phone, and they threw the scroll away frustrated. Interesting. I've done this before, but I don't remember the details of the story. So now we're going to go back to Montague, who's all the way on the other side of the zone. Seal Canyon is a huge zone, very long. Not that wide, but quite long. It's like 3 times or 4 times as long as Alice Park. I really like Steel Canyon. Steel Canyon is one of my favorites. It just feels very like, sort of like New York City almost, just with the big tall skyscrapers. I really like it. I like it better when you can just super jump around the roofs. It's super cool from above, but we're not going to be going up very much with this character because all we have is super speed. Getting enhancements. We did not. We got some salvage, I believe. Oh wow, we got some orange salvage. Well, that's probably worth selling. On the auction house, that is. If that one goes for $1 million or something, then we're going to be super rich. But in the meantime, we're going to go back to our buddy over here and see what else we can do to help him. Montague, thank you for rescuing Percy. He's already handed over information regarding the Circle of Thorns. They're attempting to divert the flow of all power to only those who use magic, causing all the other origins to weaken while magic users reach new heights of ability. The Circle is doing this as a means to combat the Ricti's encroachment on their caverns. This definitely explains their presence in the caves. The Midnight Squad has this information. I'll know shortly how to proceed. And then he says, for part 2, the Midnighters believe that investigating Percy's information regarding the Lost and the Ricti's involvement with magic is now our primary concern. I don't know how Percy does it, but that kid's good. Are you interested in aiding us? Yes. And so he says, the Midnighters thank you. So he says, we've determined that they're using a nearby abandoned office, and you need to go into that office and figure out what they're doing. Okay. It's right here in Steel Canyon, so that's nice and convenient. So one of the things with the newer missions, they did some things I don't like, and I've mentioned these before. One of the things I don't really like is having to do escorts all the way through a multi-level map without anything like ambushes and things like that, and those I'm not a fan of. But one of the things that they do with the newer missions that I actually do like a lot is, let's just get up. Here we go. One of the things that they do with the newer missions that I like a lot is they tend to keep them all in one zone. The older missions, you know, you get a mission in Steel Canyon, it might send you to Kings Row, it might send you to Talos Island, it might send you to Alice Park, and sometimes you had to go 2 or 3 hops on the subway or the train to get there because the train stations, the 2 train stations weren't on the same line here in Steel Canyon. So you might have to go from Talos Island to Steel Canyon, down to the other side of Steel Canyon to Atlas Park. Right, which could take you a long time, all just to get to a mission door, and the mission's the same regardless of what zone you're in, right? And so that actually saves you time when you're all just staying in one zone. All right, so that takes him out. And you can see these guys are like frightened by the fact that I'm a killer and I just murdered one of their guys, or whatever you want to call it. I guess I'm not a killer if I'm a hero, but I'm pretty lethal. There we go. I really like Claws. It's a very aggressive set. I don't feel like it's quite as aggressive as martial arts, but it is a very aggressive set. And by aggressive, I mean it just like the power it puts out, but also just how the ability it gives you to just wade in there and start kicking butt and taking names. And I feel like martial arts is the best at that, but partly it's just because that's my first and favorite one, to be fair. But Claws definitely is incredibly aggressive. All the Stalker and Scrapper sets are. That's why I like the Stalker and Scrapper character types. Alright, got a recipe. There's another lieutenant. I love it, you can just stand right there and wipe them out. They don't even know what hit them, and all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. Yes. You can see, at least against these guys, no trouble at all. Right, and that huge lead in the battle that you get from Hyde and the Assassin Strike. Where you can take out an entire enemy, or nearly take him out. If you don't miss. But even there, he's got half his hit points before he even gets a chance to swing, right? Why do I have 10% stun protection? That's weird. Oh, is it the resistance? Integration. Oh yeah. So we have more stun protection than we have any of the other Mez defenses. So I might have to pull this off of here and monitor a different one, because I want to know what our base for all of them is, not the special stun one. What our what our mag protection is. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and so let's see. Yep, see it's 6.9 for everything else. So let's stop monitoring stun protection and monitor, let's say, hold. This way I know what our minimum is. It's fine if we have more stun protection than hold, and I'm looking at hold, but I don't want to think I've got a mag 10 protection for everything and it's just for stun. Again, the way this works is that when you get Mez, the Mez has a magnitude, right? Just like if you look at what do I have that Mez is? Focus, right? 0.67 magnitude knockback on the target. So if anything, if it has any knockback resistance of 1 or greater, or 0.68 or greater, it won't get knocked back. Right, and so, I don't know, it says knockback, but these guys seem to be getting knocked down, not back. See, he's not going anywhere. So, I don't know. Let's take a look. Maybe it just does knockdown anyway and then knockback. No? I thought maybe it was like a knockdown that does knockback if it, like, under certain circumstances. So for example, Dragon's Tail, which is an AoE in martial arts, you do a spinning kick and you knock everybody down, but if they're weak or lower level, like Rickety Monkeys, they get knocked back instead of knocked down. So I thought maybe it was like that, but doesn't seem to be. And that mental thing is a slow. We don't have slow protection. So we're looking for 4 computers and Ceodon. Okay. This has come back the way we came. So we gotta go this other way. There we go. And this is where we need to go. There's a hole here. So I think where we need to go is downstairs. Let's see, did these guys have any resistance? No. The Anathema might, but the Mutate Buckshots do not. Now, I did this whole series of arcs, this whole series of storylines. Oh, look at this! This is a single origin enhancement, guys. It's a pure mutation. And we can put it in resilience, and that will buff our resistance to 11%. So let's go ahead and do it. That's awesome. So anyway, you can do this mission starting at like 14th level or something. I did this at 14th or 15th level with Silver Phoenix, maybe even 13th level. It was really hard at that level. Mostly because dealing with the Lost when you're that level is a bit tough, right? They do a lot of damage, and you don't have your mitigation ready to go yet at that level. At this level, you know, we're doing much better, and by at 22nd level, once we have recharge enhancers, I screwed up, didn't I? Yeah, I came in before I was hidden because I was talking. Once we have recharge enhancers on all of our powers, especially our heals, it's going to be really awesome. Can we pull you guys? Come on. Alright. Man, I just love that. And we got our first tip. So this is going to allow us to here. This is what I was looking for. Oh, wow. Huh. They don't have public fame in on Homecoming. So this is an alignment guide. This I can't get a signal. That's weird. Oh, because we're in a mission. So this tracks whether you're a hero or a vigilante. So I did hero with Silver Phoenix, so I think we're gonna go vigilante with this character. It just means you're being like more like a Wolverine, kind of like a tough justice character, rather than, you know, who maybe, you know, is more violent, rather than being like a squeaky clean Superman type character. I love critting that. It's so awesome. I mean, I probably should have just done Assassin Strike on him, but sometimes I can't resist doing the crit with the focus. It's just so much fun to do. Let's take a look at this guy. No, he doesn't have any resistance to lethal either. So that's pretty good. So these guys don't have any resistance to my attacks. I told you guys with my Scrapper that smashing is the most resisted type of damage in the game. Lethal, second most. Are we hidden? Let's see where this is going to lead us, because we don't really, I don't think we really need to beat all these guys up. We just need to, although, you know, sometimes when they're all by themselves, I just can't resist. Especially when it's a lieutenant, because they give you nice rewards and stuff. Oh. You aggroed from pretty far off, buddy. Anyway, we don't really need to fight every single guy in here. What we need to do is find these 4 computers and defeat Sidian. And there's Sidian. Okay. Alright, well, if I were a Scrapper, I'd be trying to do pulls, but with this character, we're going to assassinate. So we're probably going to need some inspirations here. There we go. I'm not going to even wait for build up. We got this. You can definitely see how, like, overconfident being a Stalker or a Scrapper can make you. We have defense against their mezzes, so we shouldn't have any trouble with that. Ow. Well, maybe I was a little overconfident. He's slowing me down, which is, yep, it's gonna kill me. Yeah, that was stupid. So I guess I shouldn't have done that. Oh well. Yeah, what I wasn't thinking about is I didn't have any heals in here. Let's go get some heals, because we really don't need the endurance. But we need some heals, and they were slowing me down, so that made it hard also, right? Because the reconstruction took longer to recharge than I expected. So yeah, that was stupid. Oh, there's a badge over here, isn't there? Yeah. Alright, so we'll just head back. No problem. And I need to hide. Getting a little bit of server lag. Yeah, I see some lag spikes. A little bit there. If you look down at this green line. As much as I enjoy the Praetorian Zone, this zone just feels so much like home to me. I spent so much time in Steel Canyon in the old days, back during live, because it took so much longer to level. So that is our, what, third death or fourth? I think it's third. This way, right? No? Which way? This way. Let me zoom this in a little bit so I can see where I'm going. There we go. And then we just gotta go down the hole in the floor. This is relatively new in the sense that, oops, wrong way. In the old days, they did not have these tunnels coming off of an office, right? If it was an office building, the whole thing was an office building. So this is something they added later on. Now this will be no problem at all because we killed the boss, and then this guy will get one-shotted, and that'll be the end of it. And the rest of the battle will be no problem. Yeah, I'm not used to fighting bosses with this character. I thought I was going to do a little bit more damage to him than I actually did. And one thing about Pretoria, as hard as the rest of the missions were, their ending enemies were lieutenants. Now that may be, if you remember right, because right at the end of the last episode, I set the notoriety to allow bosses. And maybe it was set not to. Or maybe it's just that the Praetorian missions don't default to bosses unless you have more than one person in your group. I really don't know. But now we're going to be getting bosses, and I'm going to have to get used to it. Because it's been a while since I've fought bosses with a Claws character. I mean, like 10, 12, 13, 14 years. Probably about 13 years. It's been a while. Alright, last computer. So the clues here say that it's a handful of what looks like different sized crystals. They must contain some information. It's a glow net. There's also a translucent solution, like a goo. And then a power source. And those are the different pieces we found in the computer. And now we have Montague's phone number, and he says, the Richti and the Lost are working together. Not good. Ever since the first invasion, the Midnighters have feared the Richti would begin to pool their intellect towards countering their weakness to magic. If I had to guess, that's what's going on here. So the Circle of Thorn are trying to use their magic to get the Richti, and the Richti are trying to counter that magic. Alright, so that's pretty good. Let's hang on here. Let's go to Wentworth's and see what this orange salvage will sell for, just out of curiosity. Man, this server, I don't know if I've yet. Nobody talks on global. On the global channels, it's very quiet. I don't know if I've yet seen another player character anywhere, like in Pretoria or anything. There's just nobody. It's almost like you're playing it on your own computer as a single-player game. I mean, there are people, when I logged in tonight, I think there were 35. But they must be spread all over the place. And if it's anything like Homecoming, they're all in the Architect grinding. Alright, so let's see. We have one orange, the Circle of Thorns. Oh, it's not an orange, it's something else. It's special. Okay, never mind. Just kidding. So we're just going to sell this stuff to the vendors. And I'll run around and do that. I'm not going to make you guys watch it, since we're going to want to go to the to the right vendors for each thing. And I'll just do that off screen, and I'll bring you guys back, and we'll continue with this story arc next time. Until then, I am Scarperlock, and this is City of Heroes.